Testing. We will get started just a few minutes after 11 to give folks time to join. Okay, we will go ahead and get started. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending today's rulemaking hearing regarding state board rules governing English as a second language programs and public records requests. Today is April 16th, 2024. It is 11:03 a.m. and I'll now call this rulemaking hearing to order. My name is Angie Sanders. As the General Counsel for the State Board of Education and their designated representative, I will be presiding at today's hearing. Information on how to join this rulemaking hearing, both in person and electronically, was included in the rulemaking hearing notice filed with the Secretary of State's office and posted to the State Board of Education's website. Since this hearing is being held both electronically and in person, I want to remind all attendees who are joining online to please keep yourself muted unless asked to unmute. This will minimize any audio feedback and ensure that the speaker can be heard. Any attempts to disrupt the hearing will result in removal from the hearing either electronically or in person. A red line version of the rules under consideration at this hearing are available both here in person and on the State Board's website under the link for today's meeting. This hearing is also being recorded and will be provided to State Board members for their review. All right, moving into the rules that are the subject of this hearing. This hearing is the opportunity for the State Board of Education to gather public feedback regarding the following rules. English as a Second Language Programs Rules, Chapter 0520-01-19, and Public Records Request Rules, Chapter 0520-15-01. I will begin with a summary of each proposed rule revision. And please, again, just make sure you're muted. I think we got one person. There we go. Thank you. First, Public Records Request Rule Chapter 0520-15-01 was originally approved by the State Board in 2019 and sets rules governing the process by which Tennessee citizens may request to inspect or copy public records maintained by the State Board. Major edits to this chapter include updating language to comply with the law regarding acceptable types of identification for purposes of verifying that a requester is a Tennessee citizen, updating the titles of State Board staff who serve as the Public Records Request Coordinator, or PRRC, updating the contact information for the PRRC to include the State Board's new office address and a dedicated email address for public records requests, clarifying the process for providing copies of records that are maintained electronically, lowering the labor threshold for charging fees from 4 hours to 2 hours, and other clarifying edits to ensure consistency with state law. Please, I think it's Miss Dennis, maybe you're not muted. If you could mute, thank you. These rule revisions were approved by the State Board on final reading at its November 2023 meeting. During the rule promulgation process, it was discovered that language that authorized the charging of fees for redacting records for inspection needed to be removed, and therefore that rule filing was withdrawn. This revised version of the rule chapter removes that language, but includes all other revisions that were previously approved by the State Board at its November 2023 meeting. Next, the English as a Second Language Programs Rule 0520-01-19 sets forth the requirements for the identification, screening, and service delivery for students who are English learners. In 2023, the Tennessee Department of Education ran a competitive procurement process for an English language proficiency screener, assessment, and alternate assessment, because there are now multiple national vendors of English language proficiency tools from which states can select. A new assessment suite, ELPA 21, was adopted through that procurement process. To facilitate the transition from the current WIDA assessments to ELPA 21, the ESL program rule must be updated to make references to the English language proficiency assessment generic rather than vendor specific. In addition, the department proposes to add co-teaching and pull-out instruction as delivery methods of ESL instruction and has included additional edits for clarification and improved alignment to best practices for serving English learners. To complement this rule, the Department of Education is proposing revisions to the State Board's ESL Program Policy 3.207 that further defines this rule by setting forth the specific assessment name, purpose, and cut scores, whereas currently those are in rule, they're getting moved into this ESL Program Policy. By having the name of the vendor and cut scores in policy rather than rule, the Department and State Board can more readily update assessment requirements for English learners in the future and provide timely updates for district and school staff. Okay. With those explanations, I'll now move into public comments regarding these rules. Please note that rulemaking hearings are an opportunity for the State Board of Education to collect feedback on the proposed rule language to inform potential revisions, and it is not a question and answer session. During the public comment portion of this hearing, please state your name, organizational affiliation, if any, and the rule you're commenting on before making your comment. Each person who wishes to speak will be given 3 minutes. Okay, well, since there is no one here in person, and because this is also taking place electronically, in just a moment, I'll ask anyone who's joining electronically who wants to be recognized to provide a public comment to unmute themselves and give me your name. And then once I have collected all of the names, I'll then call on each person to make their statement. And again, just make sure that you keep yourself muted during the comments so that folks can be properly heard. So if you would like to give a comment, can you come off mute and just give me your name, and then I will call on folks after I collect all the names. I'm not hearing anyone. If you are trying to come off mute and you're having technical difficulties, there's a chat function. Let us know, and we've got folks here who can assist if you need any technical assistance. I'll give it just a couple more minutes. Okay. All right. Well, since doesn't appear anyone wants to give a comment, I want to just wrap up with a few final reminders. Anyone can submit additional written comments regarding these rules for consideration to me using the contact information noted on the agenda on our website. It's also up here on the screen. If you're joining by phone, my email address is angela.c.sanders@tn.gov. You can also find that on our website. These comments must be received by Friday, April 19th at 9 a.m. Central Time to ensure their consideration. And please, if you are going to send them, I would encourage you to send that via email. Our regular mail is running very slow and may not arrive to our office in time. It is anticipated that the board will vote on final reading of these rules at its quarterly meeting on May 31st, 2024. Specific details about that meeting agenda and how to watch or attend it online will be posted on the State Board's website under the meetings page very soon. If the board approves these rules on final reading, they'll be sent to the Attorney General's office for approval. They are then published with the Secretary of State for 90 days, and finally will go before the Joint Government Operations Committee of the Tennessee House and Senate. We appreciate everyone who took time out of their day to attend today's hearing, and with no further business on the agenda, this hearing is adjourned. Thank you.